there. Welcome back to this week's episode of Finance Fridays. I'm your host, Lucas Bolahood with Coldwell Banker RMR Real Estate and the Bolahood Group. And I'm rejoined today by my esteemed colleague with RBC, Alexandra Job. Alex, how are things? It's been a
Hey,
couple of weeks since I saw you last, a
I
little bit of
know
March
I,
break time.
I disappeared for March break, but I am back.
And you survived, I see.
I survived. We did it.
Oh, that's good. Well, glad to hear it. Last we spoke, or last we recorded, I had your brother Ethan on with us, and he shared some of his insights around, taxation and because it is tax season, of course, taxes are due, coming up here in April, and talking about independent business owners and what that means for them, and when it comes to applying for a mortgage, and do you need to have your taxes done and those kind of things. So that was a great
Good.
bit of insight that he shared with us. But what else has been going on in your world the last couple of weeks since you got back from the March break holiday
Oh,
there?
never mind me. I see you have a new friend in your office behind.
Oh, you mean this?
Who's that guy? Please
Well,
share.
I can give a brief explanation if anyone has maybe seen some of the content we've been sharing on social media about this. This was a charity event that a colleague, Stefan Malinchuk, and I we put together. It was basically like a little charity hockey game.
Okay.
We invited about 30 people, clients, friends, and family.
Yeah.
And we raised about $530 for Sick
Awesome.
Kids Foundation, or for Sick Kids Hospital Foundation and Lake Ridge Health Foundation as well. So we got to split the proceeds from that with those two charities, and it
Amazing.
was a great event. It was a tight fought game, and we ended up in a tie, and we ended up actually bringing it home in a shootout. We got pressed for time at the end, so it was an awesome time. But I get to retain the CBRMR Cup here and retain some bragging rights for the next year until we run the game again. So it was an awesome time. This was just this past Friday here. We had a great time with it, and I'm going to rub it in as much as I can,
You
given
are
the narrow win that I did pull out.
a proud winner.
Absolutely. Well, proud of, maybe I'm gloating a little, but it's fun. We had a great time with it,
Good.
and Stefan was a good sport, and as was everybody that came out. So we had a blast.
Awesome.
But just talking about what's been going on in the mortgage world, like the end of January, we saw the rates, we're holding with the Bank of Canada, which has been a positive, and we've seen a big increase in buyer activity
Yeah.
over the last 2 months. We had 601 sales in February. We started to see multiple offers in the double digit capacity coming back to the marketplace, and that's been, largely the same thing here throughout March. However, as I'm looking at the numbers this morning, I'm counting 823 firm sales so far, plus another 110 or so conditionally sold properties. So we're getting closer to that 1,000 sale number
Mhm.
for the month of March, which is nice. We were
Mhm.
definitely under on a couple of quiet months there. So buyers are back out and showing confidence in the market again, and that's been really good to see. And from the selling side of things, because inventory has been scooped up so much in the last 60 days, that inventory shortages are hitting buyers again, and that's why we're part of the reason why we're seeing those multiple offers.
Yeah.
20 offers in some cases, or more, depending on the property, and we're seeing that again. So some of that competition buying we were going through last 2 years, the buyers that had either maybe missed out or had purchased a property in that time know what I'm talking about, and what that experience is like. And it can be challenging, it can be frustrating. You might have to go look and
Yeah.
bid on a number of properties and miss out on them, but that's the nature of supply and demand. And as supply has dropped off a little bit here, we were at 2 months of inventory. We're probably going to see something in the mid 1.5 months or less. I would suspect from March. That with that lack of inventory will push up the competition and push up or increase sale prices. So if you're a seller, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So it's that confidence back in the marketplace is what's been the really positive sign to see, as we get ready for April and for the spring market.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like that traditional spring market, which is good with
Absolutely.
more activity. And if we see more listings, I mean, it will just, you got to think like when there's 20 offers on a house, one person gets that house, and then there's 19 people left that wanted to buy that. So it's like those people are still out hunting. And I think that like anything that comes up is going to get swept off. So it's
Yeah.
going to be like, I think it's going to be moving fast, and I can certainly feel some momentum in volume. So, It's good, good thing.
Yeah, you're seeing an increase in applications as well?
Yes, we are. Yeah, same thing. So it is relative, to what you guys are doing on your end, and we're seeing it here. I know you wanted to touch about the real estate, or sorry, the interest rate, if there's been any changes.
Yeah, I did. Now, and I know like there hasn't been much from the Bank of Canada, but
Yeah.
how is that affecting consumers now? Sort of where are they at? And what are what should they be looking for right now? Because obviously people are rate shopping, but what else is out there that is an important consideration
Well,
for
I
them?
think that with the Bank of Canada holding off, it has given the clients the ability to get out there with more confidence, which is great. We do see little blips in our rate sheets, like our posted rates are kind of staying like level. But we're trying to stay at RBC, trying to stay on top of the competition, with our other major banks. And we're always willing to do rate exceptions if needed. And just, keeping our clients' interests at heart. So anyways, when it comes to interest rates, though, today, Luke, I wanted to cover a couple other points that clients should consider because, I mean, the lowest rate may be attractive to you, but there's other parts of the mortgage that clients want to keep in mind. So I'm going to go over 3 points, if you don't mind, and then
Please
we'll
do.
chat about those. So first would be your prepayment benefits. So to reduce the amount of interest that you're going to pay in the long run, mortgage prepayment privileges, they let you make extra payments towards the principal amount borrowed without paying a penalty. And having flexible prepayment privileges may make it easier to pay your mortgage down, pay it off faster. However, not all mortgage prepayment privileges are the same. So depending on your lender, you could be charged for prepaying more than your regular payment or be limited as to when, how much, or how often. So that's something that you want to look into.
And that's important when you're talking about trying to accrue equity. Paying down the
Yeah.
principal is where the equity comes from,
And so,
right? So people are thinking, well, why does this matter? Well, it helps you pay down your equity,
yeah,
not
and it,
paying interest, I'm assuming with that, and just
exactly.
paying down that principal solely and not having to pay an additional fee or penalty as a result.
We have a lot of flexible options for the prepayment for paying your mortgage off faster, and they're very
Mhm.
easy to use, manage through on your online banking, or if you need staff to help you set that up, or telephone banking, you can start and stop them anytime. So a lot of flexibility there, which is great. Okay. The
Yeah.
second point is appraisal costs. People forget about this one. So when you're applying for a new mortgage or refinancing, or you're considering switching your mortgage to a new lender, find out what the lender covers and the appraisal costs. So the appraisal itself, as you know, but for our viewers, is an independent report in the value for the value of the home. A full appraisal usually requires the appraiser to visit the property and assess the size and the features, etc. They're generally more expensive than desktop appraisals, or what I say is systematic appraisals, which compare features of the home against the real estate listings that are recently sold in the area to give or look at comparables. But depending on the region and the property type, appraisals may be anywhere from $250 to $500. So that's something to keep in mind.
So RBC will cover those costs, whereas sometimes other banks will they just that's your cost as the consumer.
Right, right.
Gotcha.
So something to look into, because it could be 10 basis points, right? Like 0.10 that another bank is offering this rate and then we're offering this, but in the end you would end up paying more. So you have to have those conversations and really understand the depth of the mortgage contract that you're signing into and the process if there's fees like that are involved. It could be
Absolutely.
over the long run, it would show in the interest rate the difference. You may be paying $100, $150 more, but really it cost you in the end $450 because they charge you an appraisal for $500. So just watch those little things, right? And the
Mhm.
third point I wanted to share is the quality of advice that you're going to receive. So your mortgage isn't your only financial obligation, it's just one part of your financial picture, and it must be balanced with your other priorities and goals. So when considering your mortgage lender, consider the reputation for quality advice and their ability to guide you for your financial future. So having that is going to help you manage your overall monthly cash flow, enable you to meet your other financial obligations with a little less stress. And I think that's really important.
Well, and absolutely, like working with a professional that understands what the family is or the customer is dealing with, having being on the same page and allowing to you to properly give the correct advice. I'll describe this sometimes as like if I'm a excuse me, a physician, and you're coming to me and you're saying, "Oh, I'm not feeling well. This is sore," or what have you. And but if you leave out, or if there's a certain part of what you're, a symptom that you don't share, or don't allow us to look at, then I can't properly diagnose you as a doctor, and I might misdiagnose or give improper advice
Right.
based on what the
That's
actual
a good point.
situation is in that metaphor, right?
Yeah, very good
So,
point.
and it's certainly important
You
that you've
think?
got a partner in that, and certainly someone who's looking out for your interests, and that's why I love working with RBC as well, and working with you too.
That's awesome. Good.
Now, that actually sparked something in my mind, right? Talking about, and we've talked about this a little bit. I'm going to veer off in a bit of a tangent here, but talking about things that you need to think about when buying a house that isn't just a typical, thing when you look at it. So, you're walking in, you see, okay, I want a house with a new kitchen, with an open concept, with an
Right.
ensuite bathroom to my primary bedroom. I maybe want a finished basement with some finishes, whatever, with a wet bar down there or
Mhm.
something. Right? All those things can be changed, and that's obviously is certainly as important to, what it is you want in terms of a lifestyle. But there's three things that not all buyers necessarily think about or look for when they're looking at a house and looking to buy the property. And the reason that these three things are important is because to replace them is really expensive or can be really costly, and that's not something you can wrap into your mortgage. That's coming out of your pocket. And that starts with things like your roof. Roof lifetime is generally, like an asphalt roof is like 25 or 30 years. And if you have an issue with the roof, well, that leak is can potentially be a big problem,
Yeah.
not only to replace the roof, but to repair any damage if the shingles are, past their due date. The other things would be like windows. If you've got window seals
Right.
that are shot, and you can see moisture in between the panes of glass and things like that, you've got an energy or heat loss issue there. You've also potential for water damage to come in the house if the windows are that far gone. I generally have a rule of thumb based on some of the vendors that we work with that supply windows. It's kind of like $1,000 a window.
Okay.
So if you've got a house that's, two-story house and all the windows are gone because the house is 40, 50 years old and it needs new windows, that's a big cost that you're going to have to incur. And that's not necessarily going to be covered by the mortgage,
Right.
right? And then the last thing would be like your furnace and air conditioner and the HVAC systems in the house. To put in a furnace, again, I think it's around $5,000 plus any other repairs that might need to be done along with that. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head here, an air conditioner's cost, but those things can be costly and they add up in a hurry when they have to be replaced. So you want to look at the age of those components of the house, because they're really important to the operation of the property. From an energy savings, a cost perspective, and the replacement cost of those things, they do have a lifetime. And if you're buying a property where those things are at the end of the lifetime, you certainly want to be aware of what's going on. So, in a home inspection is a good way to get a gauge on what the age of those things are. Sometimes the seller might have records of when they were purchased or installed. So you might have some insights to that to give you a gauge on how old they are in their lifetime. But it's definitely important that buyers look at those components of a home and get some information on them, because if they're faulty, they're costly, and we want to avoid those kind of things. Those surprises, certainly, once you move into the house and suddenly it's a leak in the roof and you got to deal with it.
Right.
Right. So, well, Alex, is there anything else that we need to cover? We talked a little bit about, the prepayment benefits, appraisal costs, and obviously having, some high quality expert advice, and then, components of the house we need to be sure about. What else do we need to cover today?
Sorry for the dog, the golden retriever interruption. But I know I like what you had to say there. I think between, getting into the details of those expenses inside the house and then the things that I touched on, it's about making an informed decision. So
That's what it's all about.
yeah, just making an informed decision and doing the deeper dive. So sorry for the
I'll be honest, I can't hear him too bad on this end. We'll see how the audio turns out, but don't worry. I always like hearing a good story from Bigley. He's a good pup.
thanks so much for having me, Luke.
Well, thank you for joining us, and good to have you back. Look forward to chatting more into April. Folks, thanks so much for watching this video today. You will find mine and Alex's contact information at the end of it here. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime, and we'll be back with you again here in a couple of weeks. So until next time, have a great day. Bye for now.
Bye.